Hi, Jo. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time. And you're up in sunny Geraldton, is that right?
That is correct, the sunny, windy city.
So is it more windy or more sunny?
Sometimes we wish for the wind to come when it's really, really sunny, but when that wind comes, she blows because that's why all the trees are at an angle. It's really because of the wind.
Do you think there's more wind in Geraldton or in Cape Town?
That's a hard question. I think Geraldton would give Cape Town a good run for its money, but I think Cape Town wins hand down.
Oh yes, I've been to Cape Town. I haven't had the wind that bad when I was there, but I've heard about how much the wind can blow. The doors open, you've got to hang on to your car really. So yeah, but the western side of Australia has got a very similar climate to the Cape Province, or shall we say the Western Cape, is what I understand. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it would be very similar. You've got the sunshine. We've got a little bit of humidity here as well, so that kind of makes me think back of Durban, makes me feel like I'm home. But definitely with the wind, it's definitely Cape Town through and through.
Now, Jo, tell me a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, and introduce yourself to the audience, just where you come from and how long you've been in Australia for.
Okay, so I'm a Derbs girl. English is not my first language, as I'm sure you're going to find out during this conversation. But yes, born in Johannesburg, moved to Durban, so spent most of my childhood in Durban. I'm divorced. I've got two beautiful children. They came with me to Australia. We've been here for 11 years this year. And it was a big move. It was a very big move. I think if anybody in my family had to pick the last one to go, it would most probably have been me. But here we are, and I have not had a moment's worth of regret. I work at a prison. So I'm a counsellor, came here as a social worker, started working immediately, which was great. As soon as the kids settled, that was even better. And they just took to Australia like two little ducks to water. You know, they just immediately fitted into the environment. So yeah.
So how old were they when you came over with them?
So Mandy was 10, turning 11, and Damian was 12. So they were still young.
Yes, that's very young. And how long ago did you come across?
So we've been here for 11 years now.
11 years. Okay, so they finished school by now.
Yes, both of them have finished school. Damian finished his nursing degree at Notre Dame. So he's working in theatre, loving every moment. Mandy only qualified as a scientist at the end of last year with Curtin, and she's also now working with Pathwest as a scientist. So yeah.
Oh, wow, congrats on them achieving those higher levels of qualification in what we probably say as a new or a different country, although I think they've probably made Australia their home now. What do you think? Do you think they're more Australian or more South African? And do they still speak Afrikaans?
Well, I brought my children up more English, which didn't always sit that well with the family. But living in Durban, there were not that many Afrikaans schools where they were able to have a consistent education, which is, in hindsight, it worked out quite well. You know, Opa still brought out the concertina and played Boere musiek whenever we got together, and times like that, my two little Engels monkeys would speak Afrikaans like you would never believe. They lost a little bit of the language, so usually when they hear me speak Afrikaans, they will answer in Afrikaans as well. When we're with Afrikaans friends, they'll speak Afrikaans. And then I suppose they know all all the lovey-dovey words, because when I love them, I speak in Afrikaans, but then when I scold them, I scold in Afrikaans as well, because then the brain doesn't want to translate into English.
I know
I
exactly
think
what
they
you
have
mean.
acclimatized. Yeah, I think they do see themselves as Australians. They very proud Australian, but still when there's rugby, I see the Springbok shirts still come out. When there's Boerewors, you know, that still goes on the braai, you know, so it's important to me that they retain this little.
Hello, I think I've lost you there.
Yep, you're frozen, sorry.
There you go. Yes, we both froze. Okay, let's recap that. You said you would like them to still retain a little bit of?
Yeah, I just wanted them to retain their identity, you know who they are, where they're from, and incorporate it with where they're going. You know, this is the country that's given them so many opportunities, and I'm forever grateful. I don't know whether they would have had these opportunities if we had stayed. So, yeah, they're proudly Australian, but as I said, the South African shirts still come out when it's big days.
So when was the last time you went back to South Africa?
I went back about 2 years ago. My goddaughter got married in December 2018, but the children went back with me about 5 years ago.
And did you bring any specific South African goodies back with you to Australia?
A lot of memories. Just we tried to make it sentimental, so things that reminded us of family, things we couldn't bring with when we came. You know, we came basically each one with a suitcase, a pillow. I think the children had their favorite toy with them, and that was it, you know. So this time when we went, we were able to bring a couple of shirts, but really keepsakes, things that you really, really cannot buy in Australia.
So when you moved, or when you applied to come to Australia back 11 years ago, you said you're a social worker now. How did that process work for you? You applied and got permanent residency from the start. Is that how you came across? Did you have a job when you, like, did your job sponsor you across?
They didn't sponsor me across. It actually worked out quite well. I think I started the application process in June 2007, and it took forever. I started putting my feelers out. You know, job-wise, I had my little hierarchy of where I wanted to live, and in the end, I was invited for an interview with Corrective Services. At that point, it's Department of Justice now. And I had my interview, and it was actually just strange how it happened, because I wasn't supposed to get an interview at that point. I still didn't have my visa, so I was not eligible to apply. So, you know, I always say the Lord works in strange and mysterious ways. So I had the interview in November 2008, and within 2 weeks, I received my visa, my 457, and my permanent residency, and they said I'd been successful. Wow. And we landed here on the 1st of February 2009.
Wow, that's incredible. So they applied on your behalf. They did the whole process, or did you do the application?
I did that. I did the application. As I said, I started in 2007 June, and it was just getting all you know, all my documents. I worked with a migration agent, and they got me along the way. That was really helpful. I wouldn't have known where to start, what to do, you know. So they really helped me, saying to me, okay, now you need this, now you need that, now you need that. I still had to do most of the work, but at least they structured it for me at that point. I don't know whether it's different now. I know at the time it was really helpful, as I would not have known. I would have been completely overwhelmed by the complete process.
So then you came to Australia, you went to Geraldton from the start, is that right?
Yes, they lied to me. They said to me it's just outside of Perth.
So
We were
please share with our viewers how far Geraldton is from Perth.
So Geraldton, I think it's over 400 kilometers, but it feels much further. In South Africa, you can travel 400 kilometers and it doesn't feel the same way. But as I said, we landed the 31st of January, so it was really hot. It was really dry. We got straight off the plane and came through to Geraldton. So all the way that we were driving, it was just dry and there was nothing. It's nothing like the roads between Durban and Johannesburg or anywhere in South Africa. There was just nothing. I think the first kangaroo that we saw was roadkill. So we came, the further we went, the longer into the journey we went, the more I was thinking, oh my goodness, they are really sending me out back. When we got to Dongara, Dongara is just absolutely beautiful. There were all these galas in the road, and for the first time I had the view of the sea, and I thought, oh, maybe this is not going to be so bad. And then as we drove into Geraldton, I just knew we came home. It was just that I could catch my breath. It was just beautiful. It's just breathtaking. It was everything I could hope it would be. So
and
yes,
did
it's
you?
about 4.5 hours.
Yes, so that's quite a bit of a drive, as you say, if there's nothing on the way there. And it's literally nothing except a few sort of low shrubby kind of and red dirt.
Yes.
Jo, when you arrived in Geraldton, did you have an accommodation to go to? What was your in between until you
Yes.
got your permanent residence, of like a place to stay?
Yeah. So what happened? The department provided me with accommodation for 6 weeks, and that within itself was an adjustment because there were no burglar bars. I couldn't sleep for the first 2-3 weeks. I couldn't sleep. There were no fences. So I would stay awake at night just being worried. And again, the way things worked out, we landed here on the Sunday, came through the Monday. I enrolled both children in their respective schools. Damian, with his age, was immediately put into high school. I wasn't ready for that. I thought we still had another year of year 7, but he went straight into high school. Mandy, I enrolled her at school. Within that first week, managed to get a little car, a Jazzy, and the next week I started working. So there was just no time to really think about things. And then we had to go house hunting. We were fortunate at that point. There was a very good first-time home owner subsidy. I put in an offer and we managed to move into the house on the day that we had to move out of the rental. So
you bought a house straight away. You didn't rent in between.
No,
Wow.
I believe that things would work out. I remember even when we were looking at properties, it was just amazing. The agent took me through an estate and she was not going to show me these houses. But as we came up the hill, it had been raining, and one of the few occasions that it was. And there was a rainbow above this one house. And I looked at it and I said to her, do you know what, this is exactly, I want something like that. And she said to me, oh, it's for sale, and this is how we managed to negotiate, and this is why I'm in this house. We've stayed here ever since, managed to negotiate moving in sooner, and yeah, everything worked out well.
So you've been working for the department for 11 years. What did you do in South Africa before you came across? Was that also in corrective services, correctional services?
It was, no, it was also as a social worker, but I first worked for the department, and then I stopped doing social work for quite a while. And I returned to social work, and then I worked with old people, and it's the one area that I never wanted to do. But I can also tell you it was the most enriching experience in my life. It's something that I would always say to people, if you ever want the wisdom, if you ever want the good laughs, work with old people. And then I came here and I've always had a strong interest in the forensic sciences, and I came here. Since I've been here, I've completed my psychology degree as well. At the end of this year, I'll have completed my master's.
Wow,
So
congratulations. That's very exciting.
it is very exciting. And then I also tutor on the side, so I'm able to give a little bit back to community in terms of
Wow.
mentoring new social workers. So yeah, every little bit helps.
And is the studies that you're doing, that's distance education?
Yes, yes. I finished my honours in 2014, and then there were no universities that did the masters via distance education until last year. Central Queensland opened it up, and it's been absolutely fantastic. They've been really good to me. So yeah,
That is
at the end of
really
this year,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. And do you mind me asking who's funding your studies? Is the department paying for it, or you're paying yourself, or on a
Paying myself.
paying
So
yourself?
I did manage to get a loan through the government. Even with my children, they did the HEX, although I still had to pay for their accommodation. The assistance here, if you want to go studying, is just so much more than any other place that I know. Damian was pretty comfy. What I did from the beginning with him was any assistance that he got regarding his study. I think he was still on study assist or something. He managed to put away, and because that was my promise, you do the HEX bit regarding your studies and I'll sort out the accommodation and food. And we did the same with Mandy, so it also helped them build up a little nest egg so that they can start life as well with something more than just the degree.
Yes,
So
very
yeah.
important. Yes, it is. It is basically, if you want to study in Australia, the government will provide you a loan, which is interest-free, and you have to
Yes.
start repaying it once you earn over a certain threshold. So that's a really great system, because it just means that anybody who is keen to study can actually go and study.
Yeah,
That
there's no reason not to.
That's right. Income is not a barrier for further education in Australia, which is a great system in my view. Tell me, Jo, what's the one thing that you'd say that you miss the most about South Africa?
Family. Family. You know, there's not been 1 second that I've regretted coming. My regret is that family couldn't come as well, or that they haven't come as yet. You know, I look at what's happening at the moment with COVID, and I look at how fortunate we are, and I see how hard people I really love and care about have it. And it breaks my heart every single time when I go back to South Africa and I look at the old people and how they are struggling. It breaks my heart. I think we are so fortunate. The medical care that we get here, the financial support we get here, the opportunities we have here, the safety, everything. I wish I could give that to my family.
Yes, that's true. We are extremely fortunate.
Yeah.
If we put family aside, is there anything that you'd like to maybe be able to buy on a more regular basis, or eat some South African food that you might miss, or anything else that's a bit more of a tangible product?
All of the above. So I don't look, being in Geraldton, we do have the boerewors and things, but it's not the South African regte echte spekwors en boerewors en vetkoeke and yes. So when we go, that's why I don't go too often, because I think then I would most probably come back sitting 2 seats full. That is the best about going, is just eating and eating. And I suppose the other thing is the hospitality, the humor, you know, the sayings, just the everything. I wish I could just transport that and bring it all here.
And what is the best thing for you about Australia?
The opportunities I could give to my children. I think that is to me, that's the bottom line. It's the opportunities. And then, of course, coming all the way to Australia, I met my own South African farmer. Yes. So he, just via the South African forum, we met and hit it off, and we've been engaged for 5 years. And it's something that I would never ever, I always said in South Africa, I will never go out with a farmer because I ain't any farmer's wife. You know, I'm a city girl. Let's understand this. I love the beach. Cows just don't do it for me, you know. So I met my very own Markie from Ventersdorp. He's an English farmer.
Wow,
But
yes.
yet he does Angus. He breeds with Angus. And yep, we've been engaged for 5 years. He is a beautiful, beautiful person.
So he's obviously with you in Geraldton. Does he do farming?
No. He is closer to Gingin, which is about an hour out of Perth. So we're doing the long distance thing. We've done it for about 7 years now. He has found it really hard because with the COVID, when the borders were closed, he couldn't visit, and then also they're planting at the moment. But this coming weekend, he'll come and visit me. We haven't seen one another since March, but we speak twice every day.
Wow. So who is going to give in? Are you going to move to the farm, or is he going to move to the city?
Oh, Jonique, I don't know. I love working. Do you know, I've got such a passion working with the prisoners. I feel they are so vulnerable, and I feel this is where I can make a difference. I'm not ready as yet to go. I'm not saying no for the future, but I suppose we'll have to do the fly in, fly out, if I can call it that, a little bit longer. But as I say, Mark has been very patient, and I think at some point maybe, if there are opportunities this side, he'll come this side. But we just make it work. If two people love one another a lot, he's my soulmate. We just make it work.
Yeah, I agree with you. You respect each other and you make it work regardless of what the sacrifices are in between. That's really great. It says a lot about your personality. Also, the fact that you've come to Australia and in difficult circumstances, you've made this your place. This is now your home. Would you call Australia home?
Yes. You know what? This is the thing. You cannot not do that. If it's such a big decision, it is such a big decision. It's like when you make that leap, you can't do it and not fully commit, because then you're not going to get to the other side. When we left South Africa, the children and I, we've always been a unit. I said to them, we have to make this work. This is our future. This is our life. And it was all systems go. There was no turning back. There was no doing it halfway. It was all systems go. And if there's any advice that I can give to anybody when they make this decision, is you have to be completely committed to make it work. Otherwise it will be so hard for you to do this.
Talking about which, how did you find settling in the beginning? How did you make friends or find community?
Well, we're fortunate let me first say, for some reason, I initially didn't know that there was a strong South African community here. So the first time when we went to Perth and we saw all the beautiful shopping centres, and I actually heard people speaking Afrikaans, I just wanted to run to them and hug them, and they would have thought I'm really strange. It was just so beautiful to hear my own language. But I go to a church. We've got Dominee Lo Milan and then his wife Lizanne, and they're just beautiful. So they're from South Africa. My doctor is South African, so you're going to find a South African wherever you go, But again, I'm not just exclusively in terms of friendships South African. So I've got Australian friends and I've got South African friends. You have to have that balance. I love my South African friends. As luck would have it, I came all the way to Geraldton and ran into someone that I lived in the same blocks of flats with back in Morningside, Durban, So what are the odds of that happening? all of those things made it easier.
So would you say the work culture is different in Australia than what you'd experience in South Africa?
Yes, yes. South Africans are hard workers. You know, we tend to excel. We tend to, yeah, I definitely think our work ethics are different. Yes.
Do you think it's more laid back in Australia when you go to the workplace?
Yes, it is more laid back. It is more laid back, and sometimes it's frustrating, and other times it's nice. But you will know when you're working with a South African and when you're working with an Australian, because the Australians tomorrow, môre is nog 'n dag. You know, tomorrow's another day.
Exactly
It will
right.
get done. Yeah.
Yes, very
But then
much
in
so.
saying that, with the farming, I think there's nobody that works as hard as the farmers. You know, they have to do everything by themselves here. So I have a lot of respect. There, you can't say that, you know, tomorrow is another day. You know, for that, I have a lot of respect. I think the farmers work really hard.
And they've got very, very big farms in Australia, because Australia is so big in its mass. Geographically, the farms here are sometimes so big that people look for the cattle with their helicopters, and they got to go and find where's my sheep, you know, get in the helicopter and go and look for them. It's just incredible, the expanse of this country. And I don't think people realize how big Australia is until you've actually came here and started driving around. It's really, really large. What else did I want to ask you? Yes, you touched upon a piece of advice earlier for South Africans. If somebody is considering moving to Australia, South Africans, and they're thinking, I don't know, should I not make the move? What would you say? What would you say to them?
Do it. Just do it. You know, do it. Commit yourself to the process. And when you come to your new country, you know, be humble. Realize that even though this is becoming your home, we are also in someone else's country. So the same way that we would expect people to respect South Africa when they go there, we've got to respect this country. But I would say go for it. Do not even think twice. If you can come, just come.
If there's one thing you could do differently about having moved here in the process, is there anything that you can think of?
I would most probably, if I'd known what I know now, I would have tried much harder to put mum and dad on the application process. That's the only thing I would have done differently.
So they would have been happy to come across with you if they could?
I think so. I think so. I don't know whether one would have been able to do it because the balance of the children are still in South Africa. I've got a beautiful brother and a gorgeous sister. So I'm trying to persuade them to come, but they've got commitments on that side. So yeah, I really would love for them to come as well.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been really heartwarming to hear how you are flourishing so much in Geraldton, in what used to be a new country to you, but which is now a country that's close to your heart. I can hear in the way that you speak about Australia that you are truly and genuinely happy to be here and at peace, I guess, with the decision that you've made, even though, as you've said earlier, that you still have a lot of family in South Africa that you miss, but this is now the place that you prefer to be. And you touch so many lives up in Geraldton. Thank you for making a difference in the lives of Australians and anybody else who might be in touch with you where you work. You're a gem of a person, Jo. Really appreciate you having a chat with us.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me on. I think it's such a beautiful opportunity to share our stories with fellow South Africans and even other people that look at this. So thank you for what you do as well.
It's my pleasure. I know somebody will associate with what you've said tonight, and it'll give them that extra bit of encouragement to just take the plunge and apply. Thanks again. Have a lovely evening, Jo.
You too.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.